Why do thousands of listeners across the US tune into Michael Jeverdon and Matthew Perry every week? Let's find out. These two started with a single live video, one that skeptics dismissed as a one-off. But guess what? That video sparked Morgan County's #1 show, The Conspiracy Realist. From being written off as just another pair of conspiracy nuts, they've flipped the script by bringing you fact-checked real information about the wildest theories out there. Their journey from underdogs to trusted voices isn't just inspiring, it's proof that truth seekers everywhere are hungry for credible insights. With high ratings across eastern Kentucky and a growing national audience, Michael and Matthew are the dynamic duo you didn't know you needed. So, if you're on the hunt for real talk and real information, tune in and join the ride. Michael Jeverdon and Matthew Perry, unraveling the truth, one conspiracy at a time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are back. We had a week off last week. It was prom weekend, and things didn't line up for us. So, we decided, I think we've scheduled it about 6 or 8 different times, seems like. But, we're back. A lot of things have happened. A lot of things have happened. A lot of times things happen, in a week's time, but, in 2 weeks' time, trying to think of just a few things off the top of my head that's happened. We've had a new pope. I know we mentioned something about the pope passing away, the old pope. We got a new pope.
Pope Francis II.
There is a talk of Alcatraz opening back up. I mean, that's crazy.
In the last week, Rikers Island prison was taken over by the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm trying to think, where else are we at here?
Donald Trump made a special trip to
He went
the
to
Middle
Saudi.
East.
Yeah, he was. Well, I know at least one of the trips was to Saudi, where he met
Qatar.
the prince
Went
over
to
there.
the UAE, United Arab Emirates. Today, he was supposed to make a stop in Turkey. Hopefully, Zelensky, who was supposed to be there, and Russian delegates were there. They were hoping to negotiate a peace deal.
You ever listen to Metallica? Metallica played at Virginia Tech last weekend and actually caused an earthquake from how loud the music was and the stomping in the stadium there in Virginia Tech. So, I mean, they were playing Enter Sandman, which just happens to be the entrance song to Virginia Tech football, and I reckon that place was a rocking. So, yeah, there's been all kinds of different things happen. Trying to think if there's been anything happening around here. We got a school board meeting next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, 6:30, there at the board office in West Liberty. So, be sure to come out and check that out. Aiden had prom, so I'm sure you guys have seen the prom pictures and everything. Of course, one of the biggest things of the week, a lot of people certain people didn't know was going to happen, but I actually have the image here with me tonight. And if you haven't yet, go to your local newsstands and pick up the most recent copy of the Licking Valley Courier, because on the very back page you will see this, where it was a happy birthday to one Miss Debbie Stacy there, Wonder Woman herself there, and then Mammy Teresa Stacy. Don't know if she's watching us yet or not. But this is actually the image from the county newspaper that is currently out. So if you would like to run out and grab a copy, go get the copy, find Deb, have her sign it. I mean, right there she is. That's when she was becoming famous as Wonder Woman. So she'll be happy to sign that 50th edition there. She's joined the 50 Club. Getting up there.
I know all about the 50.
Well, I don't.
It's not good.
Be a little while yet before I get to that part of the club.
As you get older, it gets more difficult to do the things that you enjoy doing. Your body Your body says you can do these things, or your mind says you can do these things, and your body says, "Oh no, you can't." But we're not old enough yet that we need a rocking chair.
I don't need your rocking chair. Good song, by the way.
Your Geritol, Medicare.
Well, I don't know what she's taking over there. I mean, she ain't paying no attention anyway, so ain't like it really matters. So I guess we can talk all the crap we want right now. Let's see if we got anything else. I'm trying to think if anything's happened here. I don't. The last time we were on, we did a pretty good long talk. We opened the show with about an hour and a half of local talk, and it actually ended up being a really success. So I'm thinking, that's something I'd definitely like to keep doing. We won't have to do it all the time, but maybe once a month or something other, do a local episode like that. I mean, we could still talk local, things during these events. But if anybody's out there that knows anything that's happened locally right now, go ahead and share it in the comments. We've all been so daggone busy here the last week or so. I mean, I can't even remember anything. I know the phone checks are coming out. Anybody get phone checks from Mountain Telephone? They're out. I'm hearing some people today were getting them. I mean, I get like $20, is what I get out of mine, but that's a tank of gas. So, I mean, so expect those in the mail. I know that's coming. What else is happening? Is there anything happening here? Not anything I can think of. I don't know. Melina says 50's right around the corner for her. While we're talking about that, Melina, where are you? I mean, you asked me like 3 days ago if we were doing it tonight, and of course I do it on a night where you can come. You ain't here, so I guess you all was watching boxing or wrestling or something. But Wanda does. Wanda did say, something there that I do need to share. I actually got Radar Omega pulled up here, so I'll be able to share my screen. But we are currently under a tornado watch until 3 a.m. She says there's storm chasers in Kentucky. So I know Western Kentucky and that like Lexington West is expected to get some possible big tornadoes tonight, with Eastern Kentucky still getting some smaller ones, and some not rolling out that we're not going to get a big one, but I mean a lot of damage and winds and hail damage. I mean they're up to baseball size hail in Western Kentucky. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. I have the radar pulled up here on the computer, so if anything starts getting close, we will bring the weather out. But do stay weather aware, because as it usually does when it gets to Eastern Kentucky or even Western Kentucky, it's usually dark. And a tornado in the dark is dangerous. And
I think every time we've had this program, the last 3 times it's rained.
well, I mean, I bought this new. I don't know what you call. What do you call it, Deb? The new, like we
Canopy?
said, canopy, and it's kind of like a big house-like thing, and it's enclosed. And I've never got to take it out of the box. I've mowed this yard since March, and it'll be 100 degrees almost every single day until it comes showtime, and then it's storming and raining, and we're stuck in the house. So I mean, it's like we got this. These storms are freaking me out coming in. No offense, but I don't want to get trapped in Candle City. Well, then you stay over there then, because we know how to survive in Candle City. What's the Torcon, Daniel? I have to look, but I know earlier for Western Kentucky, it's up there pretty good. It was, one of the higher ratings you can get with EF 2 and 3 tornadoes possible out there, which is, that's monstrous storms, and they get hit all the time out there. The Mayfield area, they have a lot of issues in that area. I'll see if I can get a Torcon rating here for you in just a second. Let's see. So today, it's like we have a Torcon 5, if that's up to date. There's a Torcon 5 in Western Kentucky. Well, actually, see, it ain't telling me what dates these are. But if that's the case, there's a Torcon 7 in Western Kentucky and a 5 up to Lexington. So I'm trying to. Are you getting excited about being a papa? That's actually something I forgot to share.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. Can't wait till September the 14th.
Well, that's a little closer than mine.
Yeah.
But, that is something that I forgot to share. I have learned in the last 2 weeks that I'm going to be a papa on my own. I will. That'll be the first grandkid. That announcement came out on Mother's Day.
Wow. The governor's already declared a state of emergency.
But it also says your friend.
Oh, my friend?
Your friend, the governor.
Oh, he's your friend. That's your.
Well,
that's
I mean, he's
your-
really good, and I plan on having him back on again. But speaking of that governor too, I think that governor has finally, pretty much, officially announced that he will be on the ticket for 2028. There's a lot more talk,
I hope
even
Kentuckians
making.
remember that he's pushing PVAs to raise property taxes.
I thought AOC was the number one.
AOC, I'll just tell you, and I'm glad we brought this up because I actually had this to talk about the last time that we were on, but I didn't get the opportunity to do it, so I'll bring it up now. What in the world? AOC is the top as of right now. I don't know who will be, who else will come out on that ticket. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Andy Beshear will win Kentucky.
I hope not.
I don't think Andy Beshear is as popular as what people think he is. To me, I believe you can drive out of state. You can drive to West Virginia or Ohio, Tennessee, and ask people, just random people, who the governor of Kentucky is. They probably couldn't tell you, because I can't tell you who the governor of Tennessee is. So, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, your presidential candidates are people that are like Ron DeSantis, or someone. If you're going to be a governor, it's going to be someone you hear a lot about. Or AOC is always in the news for saying something crazy or whatever. So, I mean, a lot of times it's people that you've heard of before, and I just don't think Andy Beshear's. To me, myself, I don't think he's popular enough around the country to be able to win it. But
Unless he does something in the next 3 to 4 years to gain more popularity, and he's out
Yeah.
on the campaign trail and things of that nature, getting his name out there and his agenda out there and his political platform. But I'm kind of like you. I see someone in Washington being the primary focus of the Democrats. But
thank you, Wanda and Michelle. So they said congratulations to both
I
of us.
appreciate that.
We won't know what to do with these grandbabies.
Yep.
Wanda said there were so many negative people posting on his post when he posted it, because I think he did share something the other day that kind of hinted at his running. I don't know right off, who else will be running in the state of Kentucky. I've heard. Well, no, that was for his office though. Or Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell will be stepping down. So I had heard,
I think Andy Barr's running.
Andy Barr's running for that one, and then probably Daniel Cameron. So I don't know if we'll have another candidate out of Kentucky or not, that'll run for the presidential ticket.
But a lot of things can happen between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, it's a while
Things
away.
can change.
I imagine Mr. Newsom from California will probably throw his name in the hat.
A lot of people could go to jail by then.
Well, we can only hope.
And
Some of them were starting to there a few weeks
and
ago.
We're starting to see
So
the tide change a little bit. And once the tide changes, once the floodgates open, it ain't going to stop. There's going to be a lot of people. There's not an announcement of Alcatraz reopening for no reason, my friends. And there's not a reason. There's a reason for Rikers going under the control of the federal government. And also, it was announced that Guantanamo Bay built a geriatric unit. Why would you need a geriatric unit at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba? Unless it was
You're
going
going
to
to put
serve.
somebody in there that's kind of a high
Makes you think who's going.
high official type.
When I say geriatric unit, who's the first person that comes to your mind? Old, senile, forgetful, possibly may have done some corrupt behavior in the last 6 to 7 years. Who comes to your mind?
Well, Deborah Stacy. Uh,
First and foremost, that was number one on my list.
I see it over there, in your notes. But well, I mean, a lot of you got Nancy,
Okay.
a certain Nancy. You've got especially a woman that was on the 2016 ticket that probably should be one of the top, if you ask me.
So you're saying Hillary?
Hillary.
Bill
would be there. I would say Mr. Hussein Obama.
Oh, he could be in there.
Would possibly be listed
but
on there.
You still haven't hit the geriatric unit. Who?
Well, there's one in particular.
The idea that
but that is our really, really dear friend there. Who I miss. I miss him. I really
you
do.
miss Joe.
I
figured
do.
you
I think we need to hire him as like someone to run the cameras or something behind the scenes here. I don't know where they'd be pointing at, but
he disappeared.
Yeah, I mean,
he disappeared
he's
from
gone.
about November up until about the last week, and all of a sudden he started to resurface in the mainstream media news. He's questioning Trump's tariffs. He's questioning Trump's mass immigration movement. He's questioning other policies of Trump, and I'm sitting there going, Trump's fixing this country. They blasted him for tariffs, and the man went to the Middle East and came back with what I tell you, $5.3 trillion
trillions
investments
of dollars.
this week.
Trillions of dollars.
This past week, absolutely, Trump rocked it as president of the United States of America. Everything that he promised us, promises made, promises are being kept. No, we're not seeing the arrest that we want, but I think in due time you will see that. I think you have to clean out the suspicious individuals and the corrupt individuals in these top agencies. And once you get them out of the way, then the arrest will come. Why? Because if you just start arresting people, it ain't going to do you no good if you've got corruption in those agencies, because they're going to do everything in their power. Just like James Comey this week. James Comey is in the news.
He was just escorted. Just a little while.
He needs to go to jail.
Before we went on the air, he was escorted by Secret Service to a private meeting or whatever. And
a lot of people,
from what I read, that he wasn't arrested at that meeting, but for some reason or another, they requested him, and they went and got him and brought him there.
Some people may not know what he did. He posted a picture on Instagram that brought a lot of scrutiny to himself. Supposedly, seashells were arranged in a particular order from the ocean. Did you see it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I sent you a picture of it.
I haven't seen a whole lot of it.
The picture looks like this.
But that's what they was talking about. I guess
he said that he walked up onto the beach. He walked onto the beach, and the seashells were in this type of arrangement. And if you don't know what those terms are, 86 stands for murder, and 47 happens to be who?
Well, I can only imagine.
Basically, he's calling for a hit on who? Donald Trump. And he's under a lot of scrutiny this week because he actually apologized. James Comey did. Well, his daughter's in the news as well.
I have no idea what this is. I literally just seen it. I just happened to see that, and I'm like, I'm gonna pull that up there because I was seeing some pictures on here a minute ago. Well, look right here. I'm just seeing people out there. Hell, it ain't gonna. I mean, you could see what it's trying to say, but this is like saying that these seashells when they're going up to it. But that's what I'm saying. I was flipping through here a minute ago and was just seeing different seashell posts and stuff being done.
But there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last week, and that's probably one of the more significant things, simply because here you have the former or the ex-FBI director of the United States, one of the federal agencies, basically posting an Instagram photo calling for corruption against the president of the United States of America. And then he came on to say that he didn't do that, that the seashells just came up on the beach in that formation.
Yeah,
Do you believe that? I got some oceanfront property to sell you where?
Crockett.
I promise you.
Well, Melina mentioned here about the big beautiful bill. Actually, just a few minutes ago, a committee actually shot it down. 4, 5, 6 Republicans that was supposed to be for it sided against it. So now it moves till Sunday where they will convene and discuss it again. So I mean, as of right now, I don't know. Like we talked about off the air, this country's, I don't know. The man's doing everything he can to bring this country back and make it strong, but now you've got people that are trying to bring him down or vote against him and everything, and it just don't make no sense.
Well, I said
Very
it best.
odd.
I said it best off the air. It's a sad day in the United States of America when the American president, the single most important position in the world, has to fight the American government
This was
to protect the American people.
This was in Florida a little bit ago. The seashells washed up.
So, and Trump is having to fight the American government every time he turns around. While he was on his trip to the Middle East, articles of impeachment were introduced into Congress to try to get Trump removed. Why? Because they think his tariff policies are excessive. That we're punishing China. We're being too hard on them. So I'm gonna look at you and tell you, if you voted for Trump, you voted for what he's doing.
Representative Sheree Thandar's effort to impeach Trump has failed, and here is that individual. That's the one that filed the impeachment against Donald Trump. Of course, Al Green is still talking about he's going to, but I mean, Al Green was kicked out of the everything, so I don't know.
He was censored.
I don't even know how Al Green can do anything, but there's the person on your screen that actually filed the impeachment documents, but it did fail, so that's. Wow, we were talking there a moment ago. I'm trying to see which one of these. The U.S. Well, this happened during the time we were out. The U.S. and Ukraine have signed the minerals deal after months of negotiation.
What's this now?
The U.S. and Ukraine signed a minerals deal. That was why Zelensky was at the White House
And that's
the
part
day
of
that Trump kicked him out.
And that's part of the negotiations.
Now, was there a minerals deal in the last 4 years?
No.
My point, but people will sit back and talk about how great how bad the orange man is, and how great the old man was, and it's like he's already got the deal with. He's already got the minerals deal with Ukraine. Here in a minute, you'll be able to see the Saudi or the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. I guess that's how you say it.
Salam.
You'll be able to see that momentarily. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars coming back, with investments. But he's awful. I mean, he's doing bad things.
Well, what he's done in the last 7 days is what real leadership looks like. He did it with no teleprompter. He did it with no stutters, no apologies, just America first. And I say that again because during his first 4 years as president of the United States, he basically had an America first policy. And that was, we're going to do everything in our power to make the lives of our citizens, our workforce, a lot better. And he's done everything in his power to make that happen.
Larry said that. Larry brought that up, so we'll touch on that real quick. We talked when Pete Rose passed away. We talked about him that night and how he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame and how it would probably happen now that he had passed away. Well, his suspension has been lifted.
So has
Shoeless Joe.
Jackson.
It's like, well, yeah, I mean, they've been dead. Well, I mean, Shooters Joe been dead for a long time, obviously, but I mean, Pete's been dead maybe a year now at this point, close to it. Maybe not a full year, but I mean, it sucks that a person has to pass away to get that suspension lifted, and now he never gets to see it himself. He'll just be a name that'll go into it, which is well deserved, but he never got to live that moment because. I don't know. I don't like that. How
I saw where Marty Brenneman, who is the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, came out this past week and said that the Rose family, if it were him, would deny Pete Rose being entered into the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah,
if he were on the ticket, simply because if they weren't going to honor him while he was alive,
yeah, why do it when he's dead?
Why do it when he's dead, and he's no longer here to celebrate it? It's kind of sad. Pete Rose, the single greatest baseball player that professional baseball has ever known, all-time hits leader, surpassed Ty Cobb many, many moons ago. And, when I was growing up, I grew up watching the Big Red Machine. The late 70s, early 80s, Johnny Bench. That's right. Johnny Bench, Davey Concepcion, George Foster.
You remember any of those, Larry?
And I can go on and on.
Larry probably remembers watching Babe Ruth play.
Tom Seaver. You can go on and on and on with Tony Perez. The Reds lineup was single-handedly one of the greatest put together pieces of the puzzle, and they were competitive. And now there's still a lot of people that are Cincinnati Reds fans. Just the Reds haven't competed since the 90s, and for good reason. It seems like every time they have a good player,
they trade them.
They trade them.
They'll have a good player, and then they'll trade them the next season.
Well, I'm surprised that they haven't traded Ellie De La Cruz.
They will.
He's a phenomenal athlete.
Larry said he got caught betting on games, and look at how they do now. And that's what I said. They legalized sports betting and everything, and which is the things that they were doing. So why was it? That should have automatically canceled that law. That suspension just as soon as this stuff came about. I saw the other day. I think me and Larry, it might have been the University of Iowa. Maybe Iowa State. They got in trouble. Some players got in trouble for betting on a game, and I'm like, they've got DraftKings and all this stuff where you can. I mean, it's legal, and most. It's like, what are they getting in trouble for? I don't understand that. That didn't make a lot of sense.
Well, times have changed, and sports betting is a big thing. Look at the NCAA tournament. They put the teams up there and they have the odds on them. They give you the percentage.
Florida won, didn't they?
Yeah, Florida won the NCAA.
I was gonna say, I just tells you how much I remember.
But they give you like when two teams get ready to square off and play.
They tell you
they
odds.
give you the odds percentage that this little school has, whether it be a mid-major or whatever, has to take down one of the Power 5 schools. So they are encouraging that type of activity, and people make a lot of money playing the odds. But most typically, Vegas is probably going to win 9 out of 10 times.
Oh yeah. Wanda said that was one of the only reasons she watched it, and just like NASCAR with Dale Earnhardt, I don't think I've watched a NASCAR race since Dale Earnhardt was killed. I mean, which I never was a major NASCAR fan anyway, but I mean, I would flip it over there from time to time, growing up because I was an Earnhardt fan, and it's like, when he got killed at Daytona, it's like, that kind of just took it away. That that would be like in my generation, Michael Jordan, something happening to him or whatever during the 90s or so. It'd just be hard to watch the Chicago Bulls with Jordan.
Well, there's a lot of rumors, and like I said, I can't substantiate them. When you talk about Michael Jordan, a lot of people think that Michael Jordan, who stepped away from the game of basketball to play baseball, there are rumors, speculation, that you hear that Michael Jordan stepped away because he got suspended from the NBA.
Well, he was not much of a baseball player. We'll definitely give him that.
Now, I can't substantiate that. Like I said.
I don't know.
And like I said, it's not for me to decide. I just know this.
But I can tell you, he's the best basketball player to ever play.
I agree with that. He is the GOAT.
Yeah, I give him that. What do you think, Deb? LeBron?
You know I'm not a LeBron.
I'm sorry.
He's a crybaby.
I'm sorry. You're a Giannis Antetokounmpo.
But sports
I
has
do like
sports
I
has
did like
changed
it.
so much
Played
that,
over at Menifee.
it just
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
betting is a part of it now. Hopefully, I don't think Pete Rose, if Pete Rose bet on the Reds, and it's pretty evident that he did. I don't think Pete Rose bet that they would lose. I think he bet on them to win
Yeah.
because he's a true competitor.
Yeah, I mean,
He
well,
didn't play to
he's
lose.
also a true Red.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was on a Reds team, that probably was the best team they ever had.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think he was against it.
That was something they never did actually ever come out and say whether he actually bet for them to lose and through the games, or did he bet on them to win? All they always said was the only information that I know that to be true is that he bet on the Reds. But did he bet to win? Did he bet to lose? Did he throw the games? All I know is he was one heck of a player, and I don't know if there'll ever be another like him. Like I said, I don't know if that record. There's a lot of professional baseball records that I think will never be broken, and I think the all-time hit leader, Pete Rose record, will not be touched. I also think the number of consecutive games played without taking a day off by Cal Rip Jr. will never be touched because people just they're not as loyal.
The contracts and stuff don't even line up with that anymore. I mean, nowadays you can walk in and say, "Hey, I'll play 50 games or whatever," and and then I'm going to set for 50 before I play again. And they write them contracts out like that, and it's like,
well, if you notice in professional sports, they do workload management. A guy might be playing well, and all of a sudden, we're going to put him on a workload management program where we're going to cut the amount of games that he plays back. And all it does is it hurts the fan attendance, and all it does is it hurts the league, in my opinion.
Well, that's why if you ever need any fun, if you like baseball and you want to have a fun environment where it's not really too crowded and really have some fun, go watch the Lexington Legends. I mean, I'd never been until last year, and we went multiple times, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not really crowded. It's very affordable. Actually, if you go on Tuesday nights, I'll give you a a little sneak peek. Tuesday nights is $2 Tuesdays. Tickets are $2 to get in. You get a hot dog for $2, a drink for $2, and there's something else that was $2.
You can't beat that.
But I might have been a bag of chips.
Popcorn.
So you get popcorn for $2, hot dog for $2, a pop for $2, and your tickets. So I mean, for less than $10, you can get in and have all of that.
That's a pretty good deal.
If you go there and buy a hot dog any other time, you probably spend $10 on the hot dog. But so yeah, if you want to have a fun environment, go watch the Legends. Where are we at here? Well, like Matthew was talking about a minute ago, right after we went off the air the last time, I think it was right the next day. Donald Trump ordered the feds to reopen Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent criminals. So, if anybody's, well, here's you a picture. If anybody's ever, been a fan of Alcatraz or watched any of the Clint Eastwood movie or, just some documentaries about Alcatraz, you know that at one point in time it was known as the inescapable prison, right out of the San Francisco Bay there. And I still believe that those three guys got away. I've watched some family videos and stuff that they released where they actually had pictures of them and done blood work and stuff on them. So, I do believe they got away. I mean, maybe it was all a big thing they didn't. I don't know. But, to me, I think they did. But, I mean.
So you said that we're building Alcatraz. Why? They're putting a lot of money into Alcatraz.
To
Why?
put America's most ruthless and violent criminals there.
Well, let me tell
Which
you
I mean,
what.
like Al
Now let me
Capone
give you
and a
my,
bunch of them back in the day,
okay.
you know,
Now
was
let me
housed.
give you my opinion. Okay, you said the most
Well,
ruthless
now, I just said what the
criminals
news said. Yeah,
in
I don't
America.
know.
Okay, you're going with what the media says.
I'm like the most truthful news ever. You know, the news.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm going to tell you that we are rebuilding Alcatraz as a home for traitors, people who sold out the United States of America. Why Alcatraz? Why would you rebuild Alcatraz? One, it's unforgiving, just like the justice should be. Justice should be unforgiving for people that have sold this country out over the years. It's an island fortress. It's immune to rights and protected by nature and impossible to escape. So those people that sold out this country over the last 50 plus years that are still alive,
you got to think Alcatraz closed its doors in the '60s. You know, at that point, it was inescapable. If those three guys did survive, they did, get across the bay, and they did survive. You know, that they were lucky. But from what I've heard, there was like an escape boat out there. I don't know. Like I said, it ain't my family. I
well,
don't know.
it's most notably
But now,
noted.
if they rebuild that, where it's on that island out there, it's going to be built up even more now, where you're definitely not going to get off of that thing. And if you was to get over some razor wire, electric wires, or whatever they got, and you'll be tore all to pieces by then anyway, and you get in that bay that's got that current, that's usually, they say, is usually really cold. I don't know. I've never been there, but
Well, Alcatraz.
if you go to Alcatraz and you can escape it, you deserve to be free. So if you can
Well,
get
you'll
them,
get more. Everything will be up to date and it will be modernized. Money has been appropriated for the renovation of Alcatraz. It housed famous people like Al Capone.
Al Capone was there.
But now it's going to house
Clint
people.
Eastwood was there. Wait,
it's going to house traitors who used pens instead of pistols, policy instead of bombs. People that sold this country out to places like the CCP and allowed these foreign competitors to come in here and destroy democracy as we know it and take away opportunities and squander taxpayers' dollars. I'm telling you, Mike, they're not reinvesting to house the most notorious criminals. They're rebuilding Alcatraz to house traitors who sold this country out over the last 50 plus years if they're still alive.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely happy, and would love to see that. And you were mentioning another prison too,
Rikers Island.
Rikers Island. I mean, put them on it. Put them on it. Put them on this. Put them on this one. Put them on that one. Put them wherever you need to go. Just
let me say this.
Hell, fly them out in the middle of one of the oceans to an island that nobody knows anything about, and just sling them out.
Somebody asked me the other day about the government, and my response to them was this: the average citizen in America gets caught up in the daily activities of their life. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you spend time with your family, you pay your bills, you go to bed. You hope that
sit on the couch.
The people that run this country, that make the decisions, will do so and will make decisions for the betterment of the American people.
That's what you hope.
You hope. That is your hope. The only problem is that hasn't happened. Because here you have an American president who is fighting for an American first policy, Mike, who is having to fight the American government.
Ain't that awful?
To do right by the American people.
Yep.
That is absolutely the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Good. You talk about mass immigration. You got federal judges that are imposing injunctions to keep Trump from expelling 21 million people that crossed the border illegally. They weren't given due process when they came across, but now all of a sudden we're expected to give them due process in their attempts to exit the United States. What I'm going to tell you is, over the last 4 years during the Biden administration, the American people were wrongfully done were misjustly and wrongfully done to the point where they almost destroyed this country. They have tried to destroy it from within. You don't have to worry about your enemies. You got to worry about your friends. And what I mean by that is you got people in your own country, Americans, that would love nothing more than this country to be destroyed. They're against anything that goes against their personal agenda. Okay? Trump's not spending any money to be president of the United States, man. $0. But yet he's having to fight to get policies passed that are going to help this country. Talk about money, investments. They don't want him undertaking these tariff programs. All I heard for weeks with the tariffs was that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Well, I'm just going to tell you, China buckled. They came to the negotiating table. Canada buckled. Mexico buckled. Every one of them have buckled. And what's happened? We're generating money that we have never seen before. And the more money that we generate, it gives us an opportunity to eliminate what?
Taxes.
Income taxes. I told you income taxes. And people look at me and say, you're crazy. Income taxes are going to be eliminated. Tax on overtime, tax on tips, tax on capital gains, property tax, vehicle tax. You're going to get to keep the money that you make and generate through your job. Every dime of it. Now, you might pay a one-time upfront 14% sales tax on a new home or a new car, but you'll own it. You don't own anything in this country right now, Mike, because if you don't pay your property tax, they seize your property. You don't pay for your license, you don't license your vehicle to be on the road. They'll do what? They'll take you. You don't own anything. So right now, Americans, since the implementation of income taxes, have been wrongfully done. They've been wrongfully mistreated by the government. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have all these programs. Some of them are worthy of having. Some are not worthy. The ones that wrongfully misuse taxpayers' dollars need to go. But yet, Doge is doing that. And people are not mad at the people that spent the money misjustly. They're mad at the people that reported it.
We talked about this the last time. I mean, this thing has went up a little bit. It says 170 billion. We know it's more than that they found. It just hasn't been reported. But just going off a Doge tracker here, $170 billion has been found and saved. Just by what's currently on here. That's crazy. That right there alone is corruption, and stuff that has been found.
So my question is, if they found 170 billion, how much more do you think they haven't found?
Right.
I'm going to say it's probably at least 2 times
and
that,
right
if
there
not
is
5
what
times.
right there currently. If they stopped right now.
Oh, the camera's going over. Yes.
Well, good thing is we're not on there. So.
That's what happens when you got big feet.
That would have been. I wish we'd have had that in caught, guys. The camera just went flying across the room. But anyway, the Doge tracker there. Yeah, we've got that thing over at the store, that big old long adapter thing, and we're stuck with this thing. But yeah, so $1,055 right now per American. But as you see over here, it says there's 413 days remaining. So
okay, let me add to that. Okay, now listen closely to what I'm getting ready to tell you. Donald Trump was elected president of the United States by the American public. He was sworn in. He was elected on November the 5th.
Correct.
He received a majority of the Electoral College, enough to supersede him to the presidency. And popular vote. Okay? From November the 5th to January the 20th, he had to wait to be inaugurated.
Right.
Now listen to this, Mike. The moment that Kamala Harris lost the election, the very moment that she lost the election, Joe Biden began sending Democratic-aligned non-governmental organizations and companies $1.3 billion per day.
That's right.
$1.3 billion per day. That's almost $100 billion before Trump took office. In 76 days, the Biden administration delegated $100 billion to non-governmental organizations and companies. $100 billion. In the prior 15 years before that, the same loan office gave out $40 billion, just $8 million a day. We're talking about $1.3 billion of taxpayers' money that is being sent to non-governmental organizations with no accountability. Places like USAID, the United States Agency of International Development. What I'm telling you, my friends, is they are sending this money to these organizations, and these organizations are not doing what they're supposed to do with it. And as a result of that, they're wasting taxpayers' dollars. Give you another one. See if you knew this. I asked this question, and I just mentioned USAID. Listen, Mike, why would USAID pay Hollywood celebrities our tax dollars to go meet Zelensky? It's been substantiated that Claude Van Damme got $1.5 million to visit Zelensky. Ben Stiller got $4 million to go to Ukraine to visit Zelensky. Sean Penn got $5 million. Orlando Bloom got $8 million. And Angelina Jolie got $20 million just to walk in, shake hands, meet Zelensky. That's taxpayers' dollars. That is an absolute misjustice to the American people. Why are you spending money giving money to celebrities to go meet Zelensky to try to generate support for American involvement in a conflict that doesn't involve America?
So I said, who cares? And we've talked about that for years now. Why do we keep giving money to somebody? Well, I mean, obviously, he was being taken care of by the previous administration, but if they offered you $1 million to go over and shake his hand, would you?
Me?
Well, I mean, for $1 million, I'd probably think about it.
Yeah, but here's the
hey, you doing, sir?
Okay.
But at the same time, people in Hollywood don't need that.
Okay, but here's my question, Mike. Do you think the American public and the people that are providing that financial assistance, creating and generating that money, are going to support that? Is that what you want your tax dollars spent on? $20 million for Angelina Jolie to travel to Kyiv to meet Zelensky and try to generate American sympathy for him and the people of Ukraine? No, that money could be better served right here in America. We got needy people that could use that $20 million. We had a community in North Carolina that was ravaged by Hurricane Helene. What did they get? They got $700, and I want to say, was it $750 they received from the Biden administration? But yet Trump's appropriated $1.4 billion. And I say something, the media is what right now?
They're dead silent.
They're dead silent. They've been dead silent for the last week. They've not mentioned not one achievement that Trump has done in the last week, which is extremely sad. Why? Because it goes back to a tale of two presidencies. And I even wrote this down. A tale of two presidencies' media coverage. In the first 100 days of Joe Biden's administration, 59% of the media coverage was positive for Joe Biden. In the first 100 days of Donald Trump, 92% has been negative.
Well, yeah.
Negative. They are not going to publicize anything that this man has done to try to help this country in his America First agenda. Let me go further, Mike. Let's talk about Trump's cabinet and his allies. RFK Jr. In the first 100 days of Trump's administration, the Secretary of Health and Human Services has received 89% negative coverage from the mainstream media. 89%. Elon Musk one of Trump's allies, who is head over Doge, that's discovering all this misappropriation of funds. What do you think his negative rating coverage has been in the first 100 days? Take a guess. What percent would you?
For Musk,
Elon Musk.
I would say what is his rating?
Yeah.
I'd say about 30%.
How about 96% of 96% of media coverage when they talk
Has
about
been
Elon
negative?
has been negative.
Okay. Well, I thought you was
No,
asking.
we're talking
like,
about negative.
I thought you was asking like,
Okay.
what is his approval rating
Okay.
with the media?
Okay. So here you got RFK that has an 89% negative coverage. You've got Elon that's got 96. What about Pete? What about Pete Hetzeg?
Oh yeah, yeah. They tried to keep him from even being in there.
100% negative. If you don't believe me, look up my source. It's called Media Research Center. Trump, 92% negative. Biden, 59% positive. And they're worlds apart in achievements and their policies for America. Trump has done nothing but try to correct the wrongs of the last 4 years. But yet the media will never, and I mean absolutely never, say anything good about the man. And I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why, because the media, as well as those in Washington, look at Donald Trump as a threat to their system. He is going to destroy the lavish lifestyles of these people at the expense of taxpayers' dollars. Not happening anymore.
Yeah, I'm checking these storms out here. We got some tornado warnings in western Kentucky, as you'd imagine. Some moving across Indiana into Kentucky, so be weather aware out there, guys. They'll be here later on. Yeah, I mean, it just makes you wonder. We had the old Babylon, poor old feller. I mean, he, was all over the place. And then people sit around and talk about how they miss him and how he was so much better and doing all this. It's like, did he, when he went over to the Middle East, did he come back with $5 trillion in investments? Nope.
He spent 90% of his 4 years of presidency on vacation. He was on vacation more than he actually.
And when Donald Trump goes to play golf, they make him look like the worst person in the world. The media does, everybody like, oh, he's headed to the golf course instead of saving the country. Hell, Biden didn't even know it was the country.
But the man's not even taking a want.
He's
not taking a salary for the position.
Yeah.
If you can't understand that he has American interests at heart, when you're willing to take a job on with all the scrutiny, all the negativity, I told you 92% of media coverage is negative. Imagine the stress this man has in his life.
Yeah.
But yet really he don't care. Why? Because he's doing it for you. He's doing it for me. He's doing it for the working class Americans and trying to make this country better. But yet they don't want to do nothing but bash him. They won't give him a chance. They're not going to give him a chance. And they're going to do everything in their power to continue to try to promote their way of life, their system of luxury up there in Washington. I don't mean it being mean. I love this country, but it's God's truth, Mike. You can't go in and make $174,000 and come out and be worth $150 million unless you're involved in some activity that is questionable.
Yeah, it just don't make no sense. You know how you can have $170,000 salary but be worth $170 million in a couple of years? Like, there's one of them there. It just don't make no sense. How anything like that happens. And we're talking about Donald Trump. Here he is, meeting the prince over there. When, for one, Biden would have fell down the stairs. Look here, this guy here, that's a Saudi or whatever country this is.
It's Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, it looks like here. They've got their TV cameras out. The crown prince, is over here shaking hands. Everybody, that's what you call respect. We didn't have that, in the previous 4 years, but yet people want to make it out to be like, Trump's being disrespected, and nobody's respecting him. And I don't see that.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's what real leadership looks like. People around the world now fear the United States
Well, they should.
because
And they need to.
Donald Trump is basically, and he is not a warmonger. Donald Trump is the first president in the last 50 years that went into office and did not have a single war fought during his administration. 4 years we did not find a war. They told us that the only way that we could secure the border is to pass a border bill. What Trump do? The only thing that was needed was to change presidents.
Oh, yeah, we played that video.
And that's exactly what's happened. The media has failed to report that border crossings are down 93%, Mike. 93. Fox News, very liberally minded mainstream media organization, reported that the southern border apprehensions plunged more than 90% from last year. What's that tell you he's doing?
He's doing something right.
He's being successful.
Right.
He's got the right people in the right positions with the right mindset. And the right mindset is to ensure that the Constitution is being upheld. But all I hear, all I see,
Trump's against the Constitution.
He is destroying the Constitution.
He don't follow the Constitution.
He is following it to the T.
You know, I hear that
He's a
stuff, and it's like,
constitutionalist.
you know, you're like, I don't know. I just quit turning, you know, like social media and stuff on. You know, it's just too aggravating to know that there's people, especially media, but there's a lot of people right here locally too that'll post, you know, on Facebook and stuff and talk about how he don't care for the Constitution and this and that. I actually got into an argument the other day. A lot of people probably saw it on WKYT's post that said for the first time in months that egg prices were starting to drop. I'm like, we've been talking about it on here for months when they were $8.99, and we showed it a few weeks ago where they were $2.99. And because IGA's got some right now, and someone was telling me that there was some somewhere the other day they saw for $1.99. Okay. And people were telling me that I was crazy, that there was no such place. So I went to IGA and took a picture of it. And so I went to IGA. Well, I actually got it from their page where they shared it this week. About you know, the sale. I think it's $2.79. I think's what the price is right now for a dozen of eggs. But people were arguing with me on that post that, you know, that I was wrong. They said, yeah, this guy must think we're crazy to think that egg prices has dropped $6. They have, because we had the picture on here when they was $8.99 just a few months ago, and then we just shared the picture where they're $2.99.
But why do they believe that?
You know,
why do they believe that, Mike? Why? 92% negative coverage of Donald Trump in the first 100 days of his second administration. They do not want Donald Trump to be looked at with any popularity at all. They want to paint a picture. They want to paint a picture that he is a villain and that he is destroying democracy. He's not. Let me give you this, Mike. In the last 7 days, the man has hit a home run more than once. You talked about egg prices. Let's talk about gas, groceries, and eggs. Gas prices in the United States are at a 4-year low. The national gas average dropped to $3.13. That's nationally. That's a 4-year low. You can't tell me that that's not an achievement over what we did during the last 4 years. I remember during the last 4 years where we paid $4.30 for a gallon of gas. Am I correct? Because of soaring inflation.
This is currently at West Liberty IGA, right there, right here at the top. $2.79 for a dozen of grade A eggs right there. So I'm putting it on here right now. I mean, a person ought to take this screenshot and send it to anybody who sits and tells you that you're crazy like they did me, because they told me that I was really stupid. Now, you remember, wasn't about 2 or 3 months ago, these eggs were $8.99, and we were talking about how crazy that price was because of an egg, which, you know, I have my own eggs, so I'm not having to buy them. But, yeah, they were telling me that I was wrong, that the egg prices hadn't dropped no $6.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Well, let me build on that. I talked about gas, groceries, and eggs. Gas prices are at a 4-year low, $3.13 nationally. Egg prices crashed 12.7%. That's the fastest decline since 1984, Mike. Egg prices are down to $1.80 a dozen. $1.80. And you said they were at a high of $8?
When we shared them,
That's a $6 drop, Mike.
Probably was higher than that, but here at we're using IGA because it's our local supermarket. But here at IGA, just a couple of months ago, I remember us having a show where eggs was $8.99 for a 12 for the 12. So the 18 would have been $10 or $12 or whatever they were, and now a dozen of eggs right now is $2.79 at IGA. But I was told the other day by some liberals on WKYT's comments that I was the craziest person alive. That nobody should be listening to me for telling somebody that our eggs have dropped $6 in a couple of months.
Let me add to what I said. Grocery prices fell in the first 100 days 0.4%. That's the biggest drop in 5 years. Biggest drop.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's I just love it. I love it. That just, I'm sure you like it by now. I mean, we've been doing this for so long now at this point. We get called crazy all the time. So, it's funny to me when someone says, well, you know better than that, because no, I'll drive down here and get a picture, which I got that from their website, because they were sharing it for this week. And that's not a sale. I mean, I can pull it back up here. A lot of people are saying that's IGA's sale this week. That's not a sale. I don't say sale. Let me pull this back up here. Maybe I can figure out how to do it. That image does not say sale anywhere. That's the regular price of those eggs. It does not say sale. If it had sale on it, it'd have a big yellow sticker or a red sticker or whatever. That's the actual price of those eggs. But
well,
it is what it is, I guess.
It kind of goes back to what we've already said, Mike. You can't. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been lied to. It's easier to fool them, and people are being fooled in this country because Trump is single-handedly correcting a lot of the problems that took place over the last 4 years. But the media is giving him 92% negative coverage. As a result of that, you're not going to hear any of the positives. And they're going to continue to say that egg prices are high. Why? Because Donald Trump didn't drop egg prices on day one of his presidency. It's taken a little bit of time. 100 days? I'm appreciative of everything that he's done in the first 100 days because it's what we voted for if we voted for Trump. Give you another one. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there were two countries in the world that were on the brink of nuclear war. India and Pakistan were about to go to war over water. Pakistan had basically shut off water supplies, which Indian citizens needed to survive. So what happened? In the particular area of Kashmir, which is an area that's in the northern part of India, things got heated. Both sides mobilized their militaries. Nukes were on the table. So what do you think Donald Trump did?
We went in there and negotiated a peace deal.
That's exactly right. So here you have two countries that are on the brink of nuclear war.
And not a lot of people can do that.
And the reason being is because the media has what?
Yeah, because they made him.
The media hasn't said anything about it.
Well, yeah, they're not going to report that.
They didn't want to report that. So all of a sudden, Trump negotiates a peace deal. So what he's done is, once again, he's shown that through mediation and negotiation that you can avoid uncostly wars. And that's what he did during his first 4 years. We were successful in negotiating and resolving issues at the table rather than military bombs and destruction at the expense of taxpayer dollars. Okay? He also brought Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. A peace summit is being arranged by Turkey. And I told you, one of the last places Donald Trump was going to stop in his Middle East trip was Turkey. Ukraine was in. Zelensky's already mentioned through this new mineral deal that they signed.
Mm-hmm.
We made some progress in allowing the two to resolve this without continuing to fight. Zelensky, we're going to give him some economic incentives and some money to help him resolve this issue. Well, Putin sent delegates. So here you're going to have in Turkey Russian delegates, Zelensky. What do you think Trump's going to do? He's going firsthand. He's already promised them that he will be there in person to negotiate peace. The man is not a warmonger. He's doing everything he can to resolve these issues. What's happened is, over the last couple of months, is Zelensky didn't want peace. Why?
Well, no, hell no. He was
Oh,
getting
it's
billions of
money-making.
dollars.
That's exactly
Money making, and he wouldn't get
billions of dollars.
You be canceling the money machine at that point.
Why? Yeah, you're right. The cash cow stopped.
You know?
So you've got Donald Trump that's negotiated peace between India and Pakistan that prevented a nuclear war. You've got Donald Trump who has promised that he will sit down face to face with Vladimir Lenin and Vladimir Zelensky and negotiate peace. Okay? That's two things. Did we vote for that?
I did.
I
Yes,
voted for that.
I voted
Okay?
for that.
In the last 7 days, Trump hammered China and then got them to do what? He got them to blink. Trump forced China to the table, and there's a 90-day pause in the tariff war. There are immediate cuts to key tariffs and a crackdown on this. This is a big one for America. Crackdown on fentanyl exports to the United States of America. Most people believe that the largest amount of fentanyl is coming across the Mexican border, which is very, very inaccurate. The majority of the fentanyl coming to the United States is coming across the Canadian border. And as a result of this, it is endangering the lives of American citizens because these drugs being laced with fentanyl, you get an excessive dose, it'll do what? It'll kill you on the spot. So if you cut back the amount of fentanyl coming into this country, you're going to ultimately save American lives. He's batted 3 for 3 this week, Mike, but it didn't stop there. He met with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, and they signed a series of agreements on energy, defense, and other areas. And what did it lead to? $600 billion investment into American industry. We just made $600 billion with a Saudi deal. What does that mean for our country? Jobs. Better paying jobs, thriving economy. All of a sudden, this country is going to start to see what? Prosperous growth economically. We're going to recover from the recession and almost depression that we were in over the last 4 years.
Well, just like this account says right here, it showed a video that Trump had shared. Over $10 trillion in investment money coming in. So, just that trip alone, just like you said, within the last 7 days, take a trip overseas and come back, $10 trillion investments.
Well, you got $142 billion in arms deal, massive boost to the American U.S. manufacturing economy. Over $600 billion in new investments into American infrastructure, energy, and technology. It's a triple win. We get jobs, we get energy independence. That's a big one right there.
We had that in the third year of Trump's presidency. The last time we've got it now in the first 200 days or something.
The biggest thing that comes out of this is that the Middle East now fears the U.S. again. Why do they fear us? Because we got a leader.
Because we're not going to go over there and let them jump on a plane and leave Americans over there like the other guy did. We're going to go over there if you mess with us, and we're going to blow you off the face of the earth. And they know they've got a guy that'll do it, and they have to respect him because they know that he'll come over there.
Well, in his trip there, he also negotiated a $200 billion Boeing deal with Qatar. The country of Qatar signed a mega contract with the United States, Qatar Airlines and Boeing, for 210 jets worth $200 billion. This deal revives Boeing. The airline industry will see. Huh? They've been struggling. It revives them, which means more jobs. It puts America back. It puts Americans back to work. Did you vote for that?
I do.
And lastly, it strengthens our aerospace edge over China. Because if we don't invest with the Qatar Airlines, China was going to. So all of a sudden, we've generated hundreds of billions of dollars.
So what you're saying is Donald Trump don't want to be number 2, or Donald Trump don't want to be number 5. Donald Trump wants the United States to be number 1.
In every aspect.
In everything. And that's the way it should be. If you're the president of the United States, which is supposed to be the most free country that they are in the entire world, you should want America to be number 1.
It's called America First policy.
Exactly.
Okay. Who's our greatest enemy in the Middle East? Iran.
Pakistan, Iran.
We are scared to death of Iran. Well, guess what Donald Trump did? Donald Trump lifted sanctions on Syria with a hidden blow to Iran. He lifted sanctions on Syria, but only after securing such conditions that Syria expel Iranian-backed militia out of their country. In addition to that, that they rebuild the Gulf. They rebuild Syria with Gulf money, not Russian and Iranian influence. So all of a sudden, we've got another country over there that becomes our ally, so to speak. So the Middle East, which is unstable, and it has been for years, now starts to stabilize because we're going to invest money in that area to help rebuild Syria, which will make the lives of those war-torn individuals a lot better. He also, in the last 7 days, brought the last hostage home from Gaza. That's big. You know, he made a direct diplomatic push through Egypt and Qatar to get the final American hostage brought home.
Yeah.
And listen, if you remember, you know, during the Biden administration, we left Americans in other countries. When he evacuated out of Kabul, Afghanistan, withdrew, we left Americans there. What ended up happening to those people, Mike?
Yeah. Ain't no telling. Well, I mean, some of them probably killed. Hell, some of them probably still being held hostage there now.
Yeah. So you look at this, you can't say that Trump is not doing a good job. His policies and initiatives are trying to make America First policies the reigning priority of his presidency. You know, gas prices, I talked about, grocery prices, egg prices are down. Inflation is cooling. Markets are up. The economy's starting to thrive again. He doubled down on school choice. He's got 150 executive orders and counting. And in just the last 2 days, he dismantled many, many things. He passed a major executive order for pharmaceutical companies that, you know, he cut out middlemen, which is going to drop the price of pharmaceutical goods in this country by 30 to 80%. So a lot of the things that people are having to pay a high price for right now, you're going to see those start to drop. And you know, I can't say that I can't say I'm disappointed in Trump. I think Trump's done a really good job in the last 7 days. And like I said, America's thriving. It's going to thrive. I think we're going to be as strong as we were during the first administration. And hopefully DOGE will continue to dive into these programs where this funding is not being spent justly, and we'll get back money. Taxpayers.
Look who it is, Matt. It's our old buddy, the moron. So, who is so, how do I say this? Who is so worried about me being the worst person in this county that they only send me a private comment where nobody else can see it. But as an idiot, because he makes it sound like everybody can see it. Can you see it, Deborah? In the live comments? Can anybody else see it in the live comment? That's what I'm getting at. And it basically says that I was the secret vote to demolish the middle school. I'm the only damn person trying to keep the middle school from being shut down. You know, that's what I'm saying. They have
also
nothing.
Saying that you were heading up Ralph's raise and you were the only one who voted no against it.
And my point. You know, I mean, it's ignorance. That's what I'm saying. You know, they're so interested in trying to talk about how bad I am that they send a private message where nobody could see it. So it's like, you're
I think
really.
Can you not comment? Put it on there. Can you
No,
not?
there's no way.
You can put a picture on there, can you? You can just
I did, but it won't. It only shows like the first sentence. It's too big of a comment. But
No, I'm saying you can show the picture like you do your pictures of.
I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah, but I
I
mean,
mean, he wants to make comments, so.
seriously.
Well, if you're going to come on here, and you're going to talk, you need to have facts.
Right.
And those facts.
Well, I mean, every bit of
I mean,
this.
that's not facts because you voted
Do
against
do
the
you
raise.
think your constituents are ignorant or fools? No, I think my
I sat in a
constituents.
board meeting myself and heard him vote no. A very strong no.
Exactly. Even our superintendent himself said that wasn't a no, that was a hell no. Which I get along with him, but it's like it is. But sitting here saying that, behind closed doors, that I was the one behind all of that stuff, and what
Needs
is
to get
it?
a life.
That's what I don't even know if it's a he or a she at this point. It's just somebody who comes on here and thinks that they can start trouble with me, start trouble this and that, and what they don't realize is what we need to stop doing is even talking about it. Don't even just ignore it because it's not showing up here. Melina don't see it. Nobody else is seeing it. So it's basically, I'm the only person that can see it right here on this thing. It's not showing. It's not in yours.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of this live stuff here, and nobody's able to. So that's what I'm saying. It's idiotic. It's just somebody that thinks they're gonna start some trouble, and it's like, trust me, my constituents know that I've got their back. The kids know I've got their back.
Well, you were.
If I was that damn negative of a person, I would have never ran in the first place.
Well, the last two programs that we've had, you've spoken adamantly that you didn't think that putting seventh graders into the high school was a good idea. I don't understand. Like I said, I don't understand the rationale behind that because you spoke out adamantly against that. If you watch the board meeting where they proposed the raise,
it says here I was one of the trailblazers that was behind the raise. It's hang on just a second, guys. I'll we'll talk briefly about it, and then we're going to go to America First here real fast too, because something else happened over the last 2 weeks, and it means a lot about America First. Donald Trump says that he's going to make everything America First. We even have an American First Pope. We've even got a Pope that's an American. So it's like, hell, what else can you do at this point? And I don't even know what his name is. But but I remember as a kid, everybody used to watch the Pope stuff and everything.
Robert F. Provost is the Pope.
I don't even know. How you been seeing any of these cicadas?
You could hear those things in the
things
morning.
are miserable. If you go outside,
I didn't even know anything about them, and I went out yesterday morning to get in my vehicle, and I'm like, "What in the world is that noise?"
It's awful. They talked about last year being the year that they were going to return. Where the heck did that go?
They only come once every 17 years.
Supposedly.
Seems like they've been here.
I thought they just got here not too long ago.
I thought that too.
All right, guys. I know you all are waiting to see this wonderful thing, so here you go. Here you go, guys. But yeah, those cicadas, man, they're well, I heard them here. They're not as loud here as what they are like over at the store in town. Like you get at the store in town, it's almost deafening. But you can hear them here, like back in the ridge top back through there. So I guess they haven't made their way down here.
So what's
yet.
the purpose of those things?
I don't know.
Somebody said they taste like cashews. I ain't gonna. I mean, I'll eat one if you do.
No.
That could be the next show.
No.
Well, I mean, I put him in the hospital once already.
Yeah, with a hot wings challenge. Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to kill him.
What was that bottle number 10? What was that?
Oh my God.
What was that?
I don't know, but it seemed like bottle 8 was the worst.
Yeah, with like tonic something.
Yeah, it was awful. But I mean, look at this crap, guys. I mean, every bit of this is just nonsense. And like I said, nobody else could see this. I'm the only person that got it on the switcher here on the iPad that you see on the table. And this is what it says. More people find humor in my actions than actually caring about my position. And it's like ignorance. So, I mean, it's idiotic to me that somebody spends enough time, they sit and watch me and you, to spend enough time to actually put something like that on there. And knowing that every bit of that's not true. None of that's true. I mean, that I said the raise was too small. But yet voted no. I mean, that's all I'm saying. It's funny to me that whoever is behind this account, and it's obviously somebody. At first, it was against you. Well, it was against Herdman Field. Then it went against you. Then it was against both of us. And now they figure they can send secret things. And it'll. Hang on just a second. Let me pull it back up here, because everybody should have a chance to see it by now. So whoever you are, I'm sure you're sitting there watching your little secret identity. If you ain't blocked us by now, when the middle school vote comes up, watch that no vote get even louder, and then we'll see. I've already told you how my vote's going to be. They already know how my vote's going to be. So it's like, since I'm the ringleader behind demolishing the middle school, when I didn't even know it was going to happen until we was in a private meeting, and I heard it, and I'm like, what in the world? And then once it become public at a meeting that I'm not even a part of, I'm not even on, what's it called, the planning committee? I'm not even on a planning committee. Didn't even know there was a such thing for the schools. And that's where it was made public at, which was not me. And then I was able to talk about it publicly, and that's where you've been able to see it. But it is a hard no for me. And yes, Wanda, I love you. I love you, ignorant fools. People like Wanda and Melina and them, they're just the most idiotic, ignorant fools. If that's what I have to call my voters and everybody because they support somebody who stands for them, I guess that's what they are. Sorry, Deb. But that's what they said you are. Whoever that is.
I sat in the meetings. They're not closed meetings. He's welcome to come to school board meetings and actually see it.
Yeah, come to the school board meetings. Or
It'll
she.
be next Tuesday.
I mean, we're talking he or she because we don't know, what the individual is. But school board meeting is Tuesday at 6:30. You're more than welcome to join us. Just like at Double Quick, when you're supposed to meet me and Matthew, you're not going to show up. I mean, we're definitely not coming up no holler so you can molest us with turkey legs or something other. I mean, so,
It's absolutely stupid.
just get a life, man. Just get a life.
For real.
I mean, just go away. You don't know nothing about politics. You don't know nothing about anything we're talking about here. We're on here talking about America first, and you're talking about some kind of silly nonsense here locally, that you don't even know anything about. Get your head out of the nonsense that goes on in this county and get away. Just go find something else to do. Anyway, but yeah, we got American First Pope. That was pretty neat. Well, I didn't use my computer in so long my remote shut off on me. Or died or something.
He's pretty active.
Yeah, I don't understand it either because we've tried that. yeah, Melina. If you voted for me, it makes you a redneck. I'm guessing. But hell, if that's what it takes to elect somebody that stands up for you and stands up for the kids and will fight for you, then I guess we're all rednecks or fools and ignorant and whatever else that post said. All kinds of silly stuff. But I ain't gonna let it bother me. I mean, I know where I stand. Damn remote dead. But yeah, that's crazy. Don't you just love idiots?
Well,
I mean,
like I said,
So I understand why they don't have something better to do.
I mean, like I said, I don't know where that's coming from because if they've watched this program, and he has watched this program or she has watched this program.
Yeah, because they just keep popping up.
They would see that you've talked adamantly against seventh graders and basically even brought up some of the issues that could be of concern by putting seventh graders with high school age children, but you can't please everybody. Just remember that. Can't please them all.
I was told when I got into the position that things would happen, and people wouldn't be happy with everything you did, and they would try to destroy you and everything. So, it is what it is.
If you're gonna lie about something, though, make it somewhat.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're gonna lie about them, I mean, hell,
let's make it
why
logical.
would I want to tear down the second biggest school we got? That's what I'm saying.
Something he's saying in closed meetings, not something that he's openly voting for in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That dude he needs to go get a job. I think.
Yeah, obviously they don't have one. Whoever it
in their
is.
mama's basement.
Wait a second. We hear a lot of stories about a basement.
I do.
That kid's 5 years old.
Yeah.
So it's
not.
It better not be you, buddy. That's all I can say. But I definitely ain't coming to no freaking basement. Anyway, I've got a couple of my voters on here that are talking about being rednecks and full rednecks, old hillbillies, foolish. If that's what it takes to vote for me, then I guess we all are. So, I mean, that's crazy. It is what it is. I love every one of you, and I appreciate all your votes. Yep, I agree with that, Mike. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, it kind of goes along with what you're talking about with Donald Trump, too. We'll get back on track here. Donald Trump's out here trying to do good things for America, and Musk and, a bunch of them, and they're getting like 90% negative publicity from these media sites, and that goes along with like the Trend account. I'm out here doing right for Morgan County and fighting to keep our schools and fighting to keep the kids safe and everything like that. And then you got an idiot like that comes on here and says something like that. But they're not putting it to where people can see it. Nobody on this comment, nobody down through there anywhere said they saw that. It pops up right here on this thing. And like I said, probably if I went in and tried to find it somewhere, it's probably already been deleted. It's like, I don't worry about it. But, when you try to do something good, people will always try to make it negative because they don't want you to do something good.
Well, when we talk specifically about Donald Trump, I think the reason Donald Trump gets so much negative coverage is because the establishment in Washington has it made. And like I said, when you get a salary of $174,000 as a U.S. legislator, whether it be a House of Representative member or a senator, and you're worth millions of dollars, it's not possible, Mike. Washington has one of the highest costs of living in the United States. Buy a home there.
Couldn't imagine.
I guarantee you a one-bedroom home probably costs you $500,000 to $700,000 just because of the real estate, the value of the land. So it doesn't add up. These people are getting rich at the expense of taxpayers' dollars being misappropriated, and it's called money laundering. And they're mad at Doge. They're mad at Doge for discovering this and revealing it, instead of being mad at the people that they should be mad at, which are the people that are wrongfully doing a misjustice to them. I don't get that. As I said, in life, sometimes you know your enemies, but you watch your friends.
That's right.
Why? Because the very people that you think you can trust the most end up being the people that stab you in the back.
That's not familiar.
Keep it going.
They stab you in the back.
Keep it going. I like where this is going.
The sad part about it is they think they've done something. They've done nothing. Because what I'm going to look at you and tell you is, I've been victim of that. And I'm okay with that. You want to know why? Because in my heart, I know what I was. I know who I am. And I know what I did. They would not have their jobs if it were not for me. They need to know that. And they can get mad and pissed all they want to. I'll send them my cell number. Call me. I ain't got a problem talking to you. I don't. But you turn your head. You put your head down when you confront me because you know that you did something wrong. A misjustice. Cowards is what we're dealing with. And it's all over the place.
Their character.
Yeah. if you're going to run my name through the mud, first tell everybody what the hell I did to try to help you.
That's right.
Tell them what I did for you. No, we'll talk bad about you. And it's the easiest thing to do is tear people down and crucify them and make them look bad in the public because you're hiding something. That's exactly what you're hiding.
It's probably some of them.
I don't care.
It's probably some of them that's sending the little messages.
I have no ties to this county anymore. None. My wife's retiring in 2 weeks. I don't really give a shit. To tell you the truth, I don't care.
I love it. But yeah, it's probably some of the same people you're talking about that's sending that little freaking message.
And like I said, I don't care. They can have it. And like I said, I did my best to part my ways here, and everywhere I went, they tried to make me look bad. They tried to destroy me. And I don't know why, because I was good to people here. And that's exactly what's trying to happen here.
What did this kid say to you when you walked in here a minute ago when you first got here? We missed you at school. And things like that. The kids that you had in school, the kids that, you had an impact on those kids. Those kids respected, with you being there.
I tried to do right by people. And I'm not going to say I was perfect. I'm not going to say that I didn't make mistakes. I'll be the first to tell you that. But I tried to do right by people.
That's right. Now, was you a hard ass when I was there? Yep. But look where you're at now. You're right here beside us.
Well, the pursuit of excellence, is discipline.
That's right.
The pursuit of excellence.
Well, we had that then. Things are a little bit different now. I mean, it's weird now.
Like I said,
there ain't no such thing as discipline anymore.
I don't care what goes on here. Just, like I said, it's just, and that's a good example of that. Like I said, I firmly believe in my heart that you're trying to do right by the constituents in your district.
Yeah, and I believe they do. I believe they do too, because 400 and whatever it was, 400 and whatever my vote count was, they wouldn't have voted for me if they didn't believe that. And when things are going on with their schools,
can I say that about the other board members? No, I can't say that. I can't say that. And I know that probably is going to make some people mad. I'm sorry. If you don't have kids' interests at heart, then you don't need to be in that position.
That's right.
I'm sorry. You need to get out.
That's correct.
I'll even go even further than that. If you don't have kids, what'd you say, best interest? If you don't have the best interest for the kids and you work for the school system, you need to get out. So, I won't even go as far as, as a board member, and, it is what it is. Other board members are going to do what they want to do. And, I don't speak for them. They can't speak for me, so it is what it is. But, like the character here that keeps popping up here talking about all the nonsense and stuff that I voted for, and I'm the ringleader behind everything. I'm the number one, big pusher for more money, for raises and stuff. Oh, I'm for raises, but it's for the little people on the totem pole. I'd like to get $20,000 raises to the custodians, to the cooks,
bus drivers.
To the bus drivers. I would like to get it to the smaller people, the ones that do more work but are getting treated less and getting paid less. Those are the ones that I won't lie there. I definitely would fight to get the raises to those people.
You look at
Wanda knows. Wanda spent time there.
Any organization where success is the ultimate goal, you have to have accountability.
Wanda, I will say, more than likely,
you got a lot of good people. Got a lot of good people that are trying to do right by kids. And I'm not, like I said, I was fortunate enough to work as a teacher for 25 years in this system. And I can say this, my fond memories are my memories of kids and the impact that I tried to make on those kids. I tried to do right by those kids. I knew every kid's name in that school building. When they walked in the door.
Yeah, there was kids that when I was there, when you were there, I mean, I'm like, hell, I'd see these kids. They didn't even know me. They'd even speak to me, and I'm like, who? I'd have to ask, who was that kid? Because it's like, but that's what I'm saying. You knew every kid's name. You knew where they was going to sit at lunchtime, what they were going to eat at night. That's what I'm saying. You knew, and I mean, how many we got there? 600 kids in the high school, something like that. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You took the time. If it don't matter if it was the rich kid, that drives the convertible Mustang to school every day, or it's the poor kid that's riding the bus over here that don't have the nicest clothes in the world. You were equal. with that kid just as much as you would be this kid. And that's the same way I am too. When it comes to representing these kids on the board, I don't care. Hell, honestly, I would rather be over here with the kids that have less, because those are going to be the kids that are going to grow up to be more than what over here. Because if you're over here, you're probably with the snotty bunch that runs everything there anyway. So it's like, I'm more on the side of the people over here because I want to see those kids strive. But at the same time, I can't make parents send kids to school when the schools ain't doing anything to help the kids to begin with. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't. And Wanda said it here. I said it before it went off the air. Oh shit, before we went off there. Before we came on the air, I said it, Wanda. I said the same thing. 2 weeks, 2 more weeks, and I think we got a little bit of a sneak peek here tonight. That's why I said keep it going. And it's like, what has he got to lose? Nothing. What are you going to do to me? Take my birthday away?
He's been patient. He's held his tongue.
Shit, he's held his tongue longer than I thought he would. So that's what I said. I don't know how he's held it as long as he had. I broke there last fall with that bunny. I thought it probably cost me the election. I really don't care if it did or not. I spoke my mind about it. Then I think it might have helped me win the election.
The worst thing is when you treat someone, when you do what you do to someone, and you don't just let them go. You keep at it. That's the worst thing about it. Just let it go.
Josh Atkins, 2 more weeks and 2,000 live views. That's what we're going for. That night it comes on, we're going to have a whole new big logo, and then it's just going to come to Matthew by himself and be like, "It's your turn, baby. Fire away." I like this here. You was a great example for the kids. Even if they got in trouble, you had, they respect. And that's the thing.
I'm going to tell you, Gracie Speller did not like too many people in school. He did not care what too many people said. But he has nothing but great respect. And you heard him talk about other people. In fact, he apologized to one teacher because he was awful to her.
But I never had to hear him ever say that he had to apologize to Matthew. He's always talked, good that Matthew was right there for him. And he didn't have the best childhood, growing up and stuff. And, he said Matthew was, a big inspiration and stuff for him in school. So, that's what I'm saying. You think we can get up to 2,000 live viewers with that? If that's the case, by God, I can't wait for 2 more weeks. I'm ready to go. Yeah, start advertising it now. The Unleashed with Matthew show. But
well, like I said, I respect people. I try to treat people right. I try to do right by people. That's all you can do. And you can only take so much. And there comes a point where your character is in question when it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be.
That's right.
Like I said, I cherish my time at Morgan County High School. I had great memories. There's a lot of good kids that went through that building, and there's a lot of good staff members that work there.
That's right.
And it's not necessarily teachers. I'm talking about custodians, bus drivers, paraprofessionals. There's a lot of good people.
You got to work with a lot of staff members that aren't there, and that aren't even with us anymore. Over the years, I think Larry Adams would have been there when you were, coming in. Well, obviously Bruce Herdman, you would have been there under Herdman at least for 1 year or so, wasn't you? A couple of years. So, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that, Jack Hill, Jack Hill was a teacher. There's some teachers that have passed on and stuff, during that time. So, yeah, you've got to know a lot of people over those years. But what a lot of people also need to understand, too, is, you put in your time here, you're happy now somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? You're happy where you're at, or you just, I guess what I'm trying to say, you're not here anymore, and you're happy because you're not here anymore, but you're happy somewhere else. So it's time to, to kind of leave you alone about all the crap, that has went on here and everything like that. So, that's just like the character here sending me that crap, trying to make me look bad, even though they only send it to me, which is how stupid they really are. They only send it to me. They don't post it here where everybody could see it. They post it where only I could see it. You know, but it's like, dude, that's foolish. But that's why, because they know it ain't true, and they can't post something like that. Because if there are a real person and someone knew them, they know they would look ignorant, you know, posting something like that. You know, I mean, not everybody doesn't have a life, but some do, and I think we figured it out. I think we jinxed it because when we went on the air tonight, you said, "I wonder where your boy's been," and it's like, there he is, he's back.
We really hadn't seen him for a while until you said that.
So it's like, you don't have no secret on that phone over. You ain't pulling my arm, or you trying to. Matthew might have a secret app over there, an AI generated thing that sends me something to get. He knows he can get me fired up if he pushes a button over or something. But that's what I'm. I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm gonna have to start doing with that thing. Is I can't block it because it don't. I can't do
Take it
anything
off
from
the
there.
air quickly, boy.
But if I'm just gonna have to stop it and just start ignoring it because it does get me fired up. But I had to bring that one up because it was like, yeah, it was too funny. The stuff that was being said in it was too funny for me not to share it with everybody because I know I've got voters and stuff on here, and it's like I definitely want to show them here that basically are being called ignorant and everything for all of it. It's like I said, you know, just watch what the vote will be, you know, when that comes up. You know, you're not probably ain't never going to see never mind. I was going to say you'll probably never see a picture of me hanging in the board office, but they are one over there. So never mind. But anyway, you won't see one for like big gold medals or successful things or anything. At least not for now, because you know I ain't that popular over there, unlike the post said. But it is what it is. Hell with it. If it costs me the election, we'll still be sitting here in 3.5 years, still talking about something. You know,
If the good Lord allows that to happen, we will be.
yeah, that's what I said. We'll still be sitting right here unless you eat any more hot stuff.
You have to kill me.
Oh man, let's see here. What is that?
That is this right here.
Yep.
That is a picture of. If you remember a couple of years ago, Alex Soros posted a picture of a bullet having went through a stained glass window, and posted a picture of $47.
Okay, I see what
And
you're saying.
basically, what that's saying is that is a comparison to James Comey's 86,
Yeah.
8647 seashell endeavor. It's not the first. It's not the first attempt by somebody to actually try to put a hit out on the president. For what? For trying to do what's right by Americans? Sad. Sad. And we know that it wasn't long after that post came out that an actual person did try to shoot Donald
Yep.
Trump in Bethel, Pennsylvania, nicked his ear, and that's when Donald Trump got the famous picture of him standing there
yeah.
with the fist pump.
You talking about that picture?
You know, and that very well may have helped get Donald Trump.
I would say,
Oh,
well,
okay.
that actually, when that right there happened, was the day Elon Musk endorsed Donald Trump. He said if that man could go through as much as he has, get shot, and still stand up and throw his fists in the air, which that's probably the most iconic picture right there that's, you know, ever. But he said, you know, he deserves all the endorsements he can get. But let's see here. What have I got? We talked about Metallica earlier. I really can't play the video, I don't think, because if I do, we'll probably get kicked out, but I'll just play it briefly here for just a second. This is the Enter Sandman. I mean, look what a crowd here. This is at Virginia Tech. And there were so many people there, and they were stomping that it actually caused the seismic activity around the area there in where that happened at. Anybody that watches Fox News, this lady here was on Fox News the other day, talking on live television. Just fell out of her chair. I don't know. We ain't got a lot of volume here. I guess it is. Let's see, I'm trying to get through some of these videos real quick here. saw the Saudi.
What was the cause of her collapsing like that? Any idea?
Says Cameron Kinsey was her name. It says she just fainted on live TV. That's all it said. You know, it never did come up and say what really happened there. While we've been off the air, or the last 2 weeks, Mike Pence received the JFK Courage Award for his actions on January the 6th, claiming that he did his duty by what he done. And that's just
my duty that day to support the peaceful transfer of power under the Constitution of the United States of America.
So, you know, that should be sickening to all Americans. Let's see what else we got here. Well, I know everybody wants to hear their favorite person, so I'm going to play just a brief thing. I want everybody to hear how crazy this woman really is. This is how she really talks. This is Jasmine Crockett.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals, and it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that, like, a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be, like, crazy to say that somebody can't be, but baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like, all of them. You got the Proud Boys, you got the neo-Nazis, you have people.
I mean, that woman's... That could be the most dumbest person in all of Washington. That's hard to say with AOC being there, but
I saw something today that AOC and that Jasmine Crockett were
could be the ticket.
Could be the ticket.
Could be the ticket. Well, you talk about, they will definitely be getting samples from the sun. You know, I can promise you that, because them two combined don't have enough sense to. Let's see what else.
And who do they run against?
Mike Pence, we've already discussed.
Who will they run against, Mike? Who will be the Republican?
I mean, I know who the rumor is, and I know that you know, even on a certain website, that there's a hat that has 28 wrote on it. But
could Trump get a third term?
We'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Could be, though.
Could be.
Very well could be. I mean, you know, Walker is ready for you guys to do another challenge. If we do another challenge with Walker, it's going to be a pizza challenge or something. Yeah, I ain't falling for that hot thing again. But I never did find out either, Wanda. That woman that fainted, I have no idea. Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court voted 7-2 to temporarily block President Trump administrations from deporting illegal aliens under the Alien Enemies Act, which is kind of odd in a way, because, you know, that's something that's been happening a lot the last couple of weeks, you know, being able to do it. And then today, the Supreme Court temporarily blocks it. So I don't know what really caused that. And this should make everybody feel good. We've talked about this so much over the years that I can't even believe it's still even something being considered, but this actually has happened. House Democrats has introduced a multi-billion-dollar reparations bill that would be funded by the American taxpayers and sent directly to Black Americans, wanting to send checks to Black only, to help them with reparations and be able to help them financially get out of trouble and be able to live better in the country. And that's legit. You know, that is legit. You know, they have filed that. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, like how much each person would get, but that is legit. And that's wild. I mean, I don't know what a Black American has that's any different than a white American. You know what I'm saying? I know they holler racism and stuff like that, but it's like a Black, a Chinese, a Mexican, a Vietnamese, they all could do the exact same thing that a white person can. They can work the same jobs. They can be on the same airplanes. Now we can drink from the same water fountains. You know, things ain't, this ain't the 1960s, you know, where, you know, you had to ride different buses and do all this extra stuff. Now they, you know, everybody has equal rights, but I don't even know where that keeps coming from. Coach, can you tell me when they are going to send illegals back? They shave their. When they are going to send illegals back, they shave their heads. Seemed like I did see something the other day where they were shaving their heads. Well, I mean, it's what happened to me. They, trying to send me back, but I got a 30-day extension.
Well, let me answer that. And I have to be kind of cautious in how I say this, because I think the judicial system in this country is about treating people fairly. In this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. However,
sometimes
if you enter this country illegally, how could the Supreme Court pass a temporary stay on the removal of illegal immigrants through the Aliens Act? How could they do that? That tells you that the courts in this country have to be compromised. They have to be. Why? Because anybody in their right mind knows that if you came into this country illegally,
you shouldn't be here.
You shouldn't be here.
Right.
And I have nothing against
It's
immigration.
like if you own a piece of property and someone trespasses on your piece of property, you have the right to tell them to leave. And they need to be leaving because they're not welcome to be there. That's no different.
Well, do you remember a couple of months ago? Give you a good example. Okay, people were just going into homes and taking up abandoned homes.
Oh,
squatters.
The squatters.
They were just
and they were getting them,
and they were having a hard time.
The landowners couldn't remove them. Yeah,
I mean, that is crazy. If you own that property, and that's your property,
that happened under the previous 4 years.
And somebody invades that property, you should have the right to legally look at them and say, "You've got to leave. This is my property. I have a deed to this." But as I said, you don't really own anything in this country. Why? Because you have to continue paying taxes on that stuff. And if you fail to pay your taxes, it will be confiscated. So, a lot of the laws that we have in this country sound legit, but when it boils down to it, they're not meeting the needs of the American citizens. Because you and I both know there's no way that I can go into Mexico illegally and they're going to allow me to stay.
Just walk around and get your
They're going to deport me. If I go to Canada without a passport, they're probably going to deport me.
You're probably
going to put me in.
You're going to be
jail.
Locked up and beat and everything in the world because you're there illegally. That's what I'm saying. None of it makes any sense because...
Well, to fly in this country, you got to have what?
Now you got to have the real ID. And, there's this show called Extracted that me and her watched, recently. It was on TV. And they was asking for people to come on there and be like in the wilderness and stuff. You have to have an active passport because you go into British Columbia, in Canada. So, you have to have it. You have to have an active passport to be able to do that. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I think it was Larry the other day that said it. This country is about the most silly thing that you'll ever see. Just the way that things are going right now.
Well, it just if you got your eyes open, you see a lot of this stuff, and you think, well, that's not what true democracy is. Rule by the people. Because, all right, a lot of this stuff is against the law, and if it's against the law, then the law should do their what? They got to do their job. And that tells you that, the Supreme Court is ruling on behalf of illegals that are illegally here in this country without proper documentation. Then we've got some major issues going on.
Oh yeah, something's wrong there. We talk a lot, on this program about the Supreme Court being the highest law in the land, and a lot of times, they step up and they vote to sometimes like maybe overturn or some kind of weird, like those judges, that were shooting down all the Trump stuff and blocking everything. And now they turn around and, one of the biggest things that Donald Trump's been doing and promised during his campaign was to deport these illegals. They turn around and now temporarily suspended. And
well, you got to understand. You got to understand that That is
Okay, I see it now.
you got to understand what the purpose of the illegals coming across the border was in the first place. Why would the Democrats during the last 4
It's
years
for votes.
allow people just to freely walk across the border, unvetted, unchecked, into this country? It's all about apportionment. That when the census is conducted, the census counts individuals, whether they're citizens, not citizens, they're illegal aliens. It's a statistical account to represent certain areas. And if you look at the places where these individuals were placed, it could lead to increased number of seats in the House, in the House of Representatives, which can change laws. The number of people you have in a particular party, Democrats or Republicans. If the Republicans have a majority, they can basically set the initiatives for as long as they have that majority. Same thing goes for Democrats. And it leads to changes in the number of seats in specific states. Some states will lose seats, some states will gain seats. Like in the last 4 years, California saw a large number of their population move to Texas as well as Florida into the eastern part of the United States in the Midwest. So what's happened is California is going to lose votes, Mike, simply because their population has declined. But if you can get 10 million illegals to move into that state, what happens? They get that vote back and plus may gain a seat or two.
Yeah, we talked about it.
And it's not.
I guess it was the last time we were on there. You know what an impact of illegals in some of these districts mean. I mean, it means keeping a seat. You remove them, you may what was it, 20 seats possibly? You can lose, in some of these places, and that could swing the majority majorly.
And I think people hear us talk about mass immigration, and they hear Donald Trump talk about mass immigration. Tom Homan speak about it. The Department of Defense speak about it. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, and people think that those people are racist. They're not. They're not racist. All they want is the law to be followed to the utmost degree.
Fairness.
Because what I'm going to tell you is, if you don't follow the law, what are they going to do to you?
You're going to get in trouble.
Well, I can tell you right now, there's one thing that we haven't talked about that I think will create some issues in this country going forward. And that is, there's a pardon on the table. I don't know if you saw this week. An individual could possibly be pardoned for all the actions that he wrongfully misdid or he undertook. There is the idea that Derek Chauvin, the police officer,
there was something in the comments,
may be pardoned for his crimes in Minneapolis.
That was brought up here in the comments there briefly ago. I saw. Where exactly did I see that at? But somebody brought that up here just a little bit ago.
That I could see that if Donald Trump were to pardon Derek Chauvin, that it could lead to
it's going to be awful
chaos. There could be some riots. There could be some destruction and vandalism going on in this country.
Somewhere in there,
but I think this time it'll be a little different than it was during the last 4 years. And what I mean by that is, I think, if they start destroying federal buildings and things of that nature, that they will be arrested and prosecuted to the utmost ability. As you said, Alcatraz is being opened to house the most notorious criminals.
I don't see it, but I know it was brought up. Yeah, that's where they need to be. Where they need to be somewhere. Put them somewhere. Get them out of here. Get them out of the streets.
But I think I saw something, and maybe I'm wrong. Check this, Deborah. I think I saw where Donald Trump identified Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group.
Josh also said, do you all think that Trump will ever get us the no overtime tax?
Well, that's went before the House.
That's in that bill, ain't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
it passed the House.
Right now they're having a couple of Republicans trying to back out, and and vote against it. But I mean, if they can get enough support behind it, I mean, it'll if it went through the House, it gets.
Well, it's
through
crazy.
If
You
it'll
know,
go through the Senate, then it goes to his desk. So I mean,
you work overtime to make more money, and you get taxed probably double, triple. You know, it don't make a lot of sense.
what was it? It was no overtime. It was overtime,
Tax on tax on tips, no tax on overtime,
and
no
Social
tax,
Security. Wasn't it?
Social Security, and
Yeah.
capital
Yeah.
gains.
You know, and to me, that's all 3 or 4 of them, all common sense.
Yeah,
You know, people that are that are getting Social Security, why would you tax them? You know, they've worked to retire, and then you take half of their tax,
and they're on a fixed income.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's not like it's fluctuating up and down. It's probably fixed to the point where they know what they're getting month to month. Well, when you have inflation and accelerated price of groceries goes up, gas goes up, eggs go up. Well, their income's not going up; it's staying the same. So it affects them tremendously. Why would you tax
trust
them?
me. I mean, you know, you look at people right now that I don't know. Let's just say minimum wage is $7.25. You take a person that's making $10, $12 an hour right now, they're struggling.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that somebody that makes $20 an hour, you know, I mean, someone that's making $20 an hour, if you're like a single person living by yourself, I mean, you may, you know, be halfway decent. You may not have everything that, you know, a couple would have, or someone making a little bit more money. But I mean,
It says his pick for counterterrorism called for arresting BLM leaders as terrorists. So the person that he chose to head up has
identified Black Lives Matters as a terrorist organization. Well, we know that and like I said, I understand the rationale, but the leader and founder Patricia, I think her Couleurs, spent all that money that was donated to Black Lives Matters to buy real estate, homes, $1 million homes. I think she bought $4 to $6 million plus homes in residential areas. And that is just basically fraud. You're taking money that people are giving for a cause to try to help the plight of people that they feel have been wrongfully mistreated, and you're spending it. So, you know, that kind of gives the organization a bad name in itself.
Well, it don't help matters either that an organization, you know, called Black Lives Matter, is out here burning down cities and city blocks and police departments and stomping cop car windows out and, you know, all this stuff. And they got the big shirts on and holding signs up that are saying BLM and stuff. I mean, it doesn't help when that's happening. You know, nobody would probably say a word about BLM if it was just a movement of people that just like, hey, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, this and that, this is where we stand, you know, this we want right, you know, whatever. But when you're seeing stomping people and beating people up for no reason and setting things on fire and robbing stores and, you know, a lot of violence, that's what labels you, you know, as a terrorist organization. And, you know, it's hard to come back to CNN or Fox News and say, yeah, I'm the leader of BLM, and I don't know why they're talking about us like that. Well, I mean, you've got people out here burning everything down with your flags, waving them in the air. You know, burn a building down and hang one of your flags on the wall. You know, I mean, it don't look good on you.
But I just thought that was particularly of importance that they had labeled them as a terrorist organization. And then, you know, you've got a terrorist organization in MS-13 gang members, and you've got Democrats that are traveling to El Salvador to show support.
But wouldn't travel to Western North Carolina and Tennessee when they were wiped off the face of the earth pretty much. You know, with crazy and dangerous and deadly floods, they wouldn't even had no respect whatsoever to go to those areas or any of the other ones, the wildfires in the West or, you know, any of that stuff.
People can say what they want, but the truth is the truth. The Democratic Party.
Well, that's what it says right there. Can't ignore the truth, Mr. Brock.
Yeah.
But
the Democratic Party has seen a decline in their approval rating. Democrats in this country have an approval rating right now of 21%.
You want to know why they're having it? right there.
That's exactly
Right
right.
there's
The
the
Republican
reason.
platform versus the Democratic platform.
Yeah,
And
because you can't turn on a television or a radio or social media where one of the left is not saying something about Donald Trump. That's all they talk about, knowing that they've got other things they should be worrying about in their districts and their other states and stuff like that. Trying to like say Pelosi or some of them in California, you know, they should be worried about what's going on out there, but all they care about is getting Donald Trump.
you know, here you got Donald Trump that's trying to expose excessive government spending on programs that are of no necessary need. And here you've got Democrats that are opposed to eliminating waste and fraud. They're opposed to it. They're fighting animately. They're fighting to continue to give money
Makes you
to
wonder,
these
don't it?
NGOs, these national governmental organizations that wrongfully spend taxpayers' dollars. Why would you be fighting for that? You would think it would be about saving costs and allowing the American people to live better. I mean, you would think that. I mean, I just don't get the agenda and how you can continue to elect these people if they, in particular areas that they're getting elected, if they don't care about you as citizens.
Yeah, me and Larry had that conversation last weekend at breakfast. You know, it's like an AOC or some of them. You know, the areas they live in must be like all Hispanic or whatever, you know, nationality, you know, that she is, Islamic or, you know, I don't know whatever they, you know, whatever, you know, she is. There must be a lot of those people in them areas because
Well, you have
you
more
would think
minorities.
you would think the majority of Americans that have any type of common sense whatsoever would know that woman can't walk a straight line probably without tripping over her feet. But yet she's won. I know it. She's won twice. You know, I think she's won twice. I know obviously she won once, but I think she came up again and won. And then you're just sitting, you scratch your head like, you know, how is that? How is that even possible? That, you know, somebody that thinks she can take a trip to the sun and get samples to study it would actually be able to be elected and now be the number, as of today, be the top contender for the Democrat nomination for the presidency in 4 years.
Well, I feel assured
So,
that if she does win the nomination, she will not win the presidency.
oh, no, hell no. I would imagine at this point you can bring an old dog out on the Republican
Well,
ticket.
and a lot's going to come
Hell,
out.
damn independent will probably be
And
there.
I think a lot more will come out in the next 3 years
Oh yeah,
prior
maybe a
to the
bunch.
election. You're going to find out that there's been a lot of people in this country that have participated in events that were corrupt. And that in itself will keep them from getting elected. Okay,
Get it going, Aiden.
okay.
So-
Like, let me give you an example here. How many media stations have reported? How many media stations have reported the Diddy trial? You heard anything about the Diddy trial?
Nope.
Well, actually, found out just a little bit ago that the bodyguard. This is actually on the news right now. The bodyguard for Diddy came out in an interview today and said that Diddy is who poisoned Jamie Foxx. Remember, Jamie Foxx had a real bad episode
Yeah,
there.
they thought
Died. Well, he don't even look like himself. You know, we showed that on a show one night where he changed dramatically, but he's in the hospital near death. A bodyguard came out today, I believe it was. There might have been yesterday, but I just saw it today. That said that, you know, Diddy is the one that poisoned him. So I mean, I don't know, poisoned him with what?
Well, there's several
You know,
things that were in the news. Several things that were in the news that have somehow
What is that?
That's the weather alarm.
just disappeared. Like, you remember there was talk about all this auditing of the gold in Fort Knox? Just stopped. Just stopped. Don't
Yeah,
talk
we
about
were
that
talking
anymore.
about it there a night or two, and then it just kind of went away.
Then you talk about like the Epstein files. The Epstein files were supposed to come out. Now all of a sudden, what?
I don't trust that woman as far as I can throw her old
Pam Bondi?
Bondi. Looks like we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Morgan County. Let's see here, 519 from Moorhead down to about Cave Run Lake area. Looks like that part of the county. Went over. Here's one coming.
I'll tell you what, if that map is any indication of what's to come, it looks bad, don't it?
Yeah. Well, this right here is Sharpsburg, Owensville. I mean, let's zoom out here. Well, let me pull that up here. I can show everybody. But I mean, like, this right here is one storm. This here is two different storms. So that's a severe storm there. That's a severe storm there. And then you got this one. But you zoom out. Let's go back here. Now, see
Goodness gracious.
the red is a tornado warning there. There's a tornado warning. There's a tornado warning. This is all. Where's them at?
Looks like they're in the midwestern part of the United States. Is that what it is?
That one's moving toward Russell Springs,
Is that Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Wow.
And then over here, we're just east of Owensboro, Kentucky. This was near Hopkinsville, which I can click here and show you. Let me get on this radar here. And, there's the line that'll come through overnight. There's poor old Mayfield. I mean, they get hammered all the time. But we do have a severe storm, but it doesn't look like it's hitting here right now that I can tell. But got to get back on the Jackson radar here to see what's going on with their storm here. But, what was we talking about? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to do with that weather alarm. And I want to see if I can pull up something about that bodyguard for Diddy. That, supposedly, this Diddy trial is going on. And
You do know that one of the 8 U.S. attorneys prosecuting the Diddy case is Maureen Comey. Who is Maureen Comey?
James Comey's wife.
James Comey's daughter.
Wow.
She was also responsible for investigating the footage of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide that just randomly disappeared. Like I said, it's all one big club, and we ain't in it.
We ain't in it.
And they're protecting certain people. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Sean Diddy Combs gets off.
Diddy's ex bodyguard says Combs will still walk free.
That don't surprise me a bit.
That was all said during that interview. I'm trying to find where he said that. But, and it says here, ex-bodyguard claims that one of the key witnesses have went missing, which I think I did have that somewhere tonight. That's why it got delayed last week, is because one of the Diddy key witnesses went missing. And they couldn't find them. So,
Wanted to put on here some of the stuff that she's heard about the Diddy case is sickening. Yeah, it's extremely sickening. Just his ex-girlfriend has talked about how she was basically used as a sex slave, and she was told to have sex with random partners and then come in and do things with the material that was left in her. Rubbed it all over his body. I mean, he's a sick freak, is what he is. He's a freak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's right up there with, all the other ones. I know Nora's on here. Me and Nora talked briefly there yesterday at the store. She had sent me something with Stephen Colbert. There was a video with Stephen Colbert coming out doing a lot of weird stuff with like children and stuff, dancing around and stuff. But I mean, I think eventually the truth is going to come out to where, Diddy's just sort of like Epstein. He's just the beginning.
The tip of the iceberg.
They bring Epstein out because, he's a millionaire, got off with it 2 or 3 times, got away with it. Diddy's like a country, he's country singer. Diddy's like a pop rap star, from the 90s or whatever, was kind of big and all of that stuff. And, like Nora says here, seeing where Diddy stated where Bieber stated Diddy hadn't done anything to him. So I mean, of course Bieber's going to say that because if he comes out, he's a goner.
That's right.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more. I mean, I know we've got a lot of WWE fans. You remember a couple of years ago we did a story on Travis Scott. Remember he done a concert that had like
Houston, Texas.
a lot of people got sick, and people were like falling over and like
Got
this
stomped.
like this big
Trampled.
like this big demonic like thing or whatever happened or whatever this thing. WWE now has put him in the forefront, on their weekly television programs, and I'm thinking, I haven't watched wrestling a whole lot in the last couple of years, but it's stuff like that is the reason why. This guy was doing demonic things at an event. Did anybody die at that?
There was
or
like 7 or 8 people died.
yeah, that's what I said. There was some people died. A lot of people got sick.
They got trampled.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. It had the big demonic things. So I mean, it's like I don't know how, companies like that could just throw people like that on their television programs and think people's going to watch it. I mean, you probably have some sickos out there that, really enjoy watching him or listening to him, but I don't. Yeah, Wanda said he's with The Rock. And The Rock's one of the biggest Hollywood stars they are right now. So, and The Rock owns half the company now, pretty much. So, I don't know, man. World's dangerous right now. It's scary. And then you got me and Matthew. So we do everything we can to keep everybody informed on stuff and talk about things. And I don't know. We get told all the time that we're crazy, and
That's okay. It's okay.
well, maybe we are in some aspects, but
In time, in due time.
A lot of
in
people
due
thought
time,
a lot of other people were crazy too until they found everything out. But
in due time, the truth will reveal itself. The truth shall set you free. The truth will come out, and when it comes out, I don't know if Pam Bondi, I don't know if Kash Patel will be the ones that will reveal the Epstein list and all the Epstein incriminating evidence on all these people.
there was something about her.
I don't know if they will or not, but here's what I'm going to tell you. It will eventually come out. And when it does, you're going to find out that a human sex trafficking ring has been going on in this country that involves a lot of people.
What was his name? James O'Keefe?
Yes.
With Project Veritas.
Yes.
We talked about him
Went into hiding.
a couple of weeks ago when we was on about how he said he had some big story. Well, it was about Pam Bondi. When he released it, it was about Pam Bondi, and she was recorded in like a diner just talking to regular people about the Epstein files. Like she was out there telling us there's little kids on there, a lot of crazy stuff happening with little kids. And somebody was just like a cell phone was sitting there recording her talking to just random people about it. Or that's what he released.
Well, if that be the case,
that's
if
what
that
it
be
was.
the case, then that evidence needs to be presented.
Well,
to
that's
the
what I
American
said.
public.
If
And
you're going to go
anybody-
into a damn restaurant and just tell some random Joe, that walks up to you, hey, what you all finding out? Then release it. Let people see it. I don't really want to see it, but it's like,
and I don't know.
release it
I
to
don't.
the
I don't
public.
necessarily know if that's the case. I just want to know that justice.
I want to see names.
I want to see. I
No,
want to see justice
I don't want to
prevail.
see videos of little kids and stuff
No.
like that, or any victims whatsoever. Leave that hidden somewhere in the FBI headquarters. But I want to see names. I want to see the movie stars and the pop stars and the country stars and Nickelodeon stars. You know what I'm saying?
Or members of the government.
Government. Big elite people. If they're on that list and they're doing anything, that's the name. That's what we've been waiting on for years.
Justice should prevail. They are no better than anybody else, and if they are involved in criminal activity, then they should go before a judge and a jury of their peers, and they should face the ultimate penalty if found guilty.
I agree.
They shouldn't be, well, we're just sweeping under the rug and we're going to the Epstein files are going to be released in 24 hours, and then all of a sudden, what?
At this point, it's been 24 days. It's probably been longer than that. It's been over a month since she said that.
it needs to come out. If there is corrupt activity and there are people in the government involved, they are no better than the average citizen.
Patience, grasshopper.
Patience. Yes,
I
think
think
I've
she
heard that
received
before.
some kind of
I heard that
kickback
once or
from
twice in the
Pfizer.
last 4 years.
Nora says she thinks she's received some kind of kickback from Pfizer, and that's a possibility. I mean, I don't.
Who's this? Oh,
I'm
Bondi.
guessing we're still talking Pam Bondi at this point, but I mean, I remember that. I mean, it's been over a month ago. It's been pretty good, maybe 2 months since she said in 24 hours the Epstein. I mean, you actually waited. I think we moved the show a day ahead
Yeah.
to try to have that before we went on the air, and still didn't have anything.
Well, you got
And we did,
got lists that
but
have
we did vote
redacted
for
names.
it. We did vote for that to see those lists. You know, that's one of the things that Trump was running on. So we did vote. So when he picked her, you know, that's something that we wanted to see. You know, we like I said, I don't want to see the videos, obviously, but I'd love to see the list. And we got some flight logs. So but hell, we've been seeing flight logs since Epstein went to prison.
But they were redacted flight
Yeah.
logs. They had key names that were removed from them.
Yeah, big blank
So-
lines.
So is there a human sex trafficking ring in this country that involves elites?
Oh,
Is
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it a bit.
Is there corruption? Where do the roads lead? Who is the main culprit behind all of this? And everybody involved needs to be brought to justice, if that be the case.
I agree 100%. What else you got over there?
I've hit a lot of stuff. I saw where Democrats are upset that Trump is receiving a jet plane from a Middle Eastern country. They're talking like he's violated some type of ethical policies with regards to gifts. He didn't say he was going to take the plane, but if he did, it would replace Air Force One. It would become property of the Department of Defense. But he's not the first president to be given gifts. Barack Obama was given a $22 million apartment for his personal use on top of his presidential library by the Venezuelan government. How many Democrats batted an eye and said that wasn't right?
Probably none.
None. Bill Clinton was given a Porsche 911. Still has it. Today it's on display in the Clinton Presidential Library and Museum in Arkansas. And it's one of the most extravagant Porsche 911s ever created. And it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. How many batted an eye?
No.
So what you've got a double standard in America right now. Anything Trump
But then
does,
Musk brings a damn Tesla to the White House, and people freak out because he was going to give Donald Trump a Tesla. They freaked out because he was going to get something. Hell, we got people right here in West Liberty and Morgan County that's got friggin' Teslas. So it's like, who cares that one of the richest men in the world has a friggin' Tesla?
But, there's a lot going on. Within the next week, 2 weeks, there'll be more revelations of things that are coming out. We're headed in the right direction.
Me.
I think that people would just lay off Trump and let him work and see what he can do. I think he's going to do good things for America.
Wanda says she thinks the P. Diddy case needs to be over before the Epstein files because that's what's going to link a lot of people. Like a lot of people is going to be linked. And I can see that. Like the way you're talking, with a lot of the stuff that's coming out about the Diddy stuff. I mean, Diddy's involved with a lot of your elites. He's involved with a lot of your movie stars, musicians, popular people like that. So, I mean, he's going to have ties to a lot of stuff. But it's just like the key witness coming up missing all of a sudden, just as soon as the trial starts. It's like, I look for a lot more stuff like that to start happening the further we go on.
Well, let's just hope and pray that justice prevails, and we do not have a compromised federal judiciary system, that federal judges will do what's right by the law once all the evidence is presented to them. Because there's not a doubt in my mind Diddy's guilty. It's just a matter of proving it in a court of law. You got to prove it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, him and Epstein and just a few of those, they're just like the small.
No, the tip of the iceberg.
You know,
there's people that there's probably a bigger clientele.
Oh well,
Somebody's
there's somebody like you said that runs it. You know, like there's a big head chief somewhere that's like the main thing, and they're just the little runners. You know, the people that may eventually get caught, but don't think they will because they've got millions of dollars and they're kind of popular. Nobody's ever going to catch them.
I agree with that.
Hell, Epstein was arrested 2 or 3 times early on in the 2000s for the same stuff and got away with it.
Well, hell, Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail right now, serving about a 50-year prison term for actually trafficking. Who? There's no client. There's no clients. Who'd she traffic them to? She's behind bars. They found her guilty of malicious activity, but yet they don't have the clientele to whom she provided those services. That is crazy. Underage girls. Crazy.
Yeah, you would think they'd have to have some kind of names.
Though they have them,
You
they
know.
just haven't released them.
Yeah, we're going to put you in prison for probably the rest of your life here, but you know, we're not going to release the people that you sold girls to or, you know, traded them off to or whatever, you know, whatever it is they call it.
I agree.
You got anything else over there?
No, I'm good.
Good.
Got a lot of stuff.
You got anything over there? How about you, Ping? You got anything over there? In other words, here you come.
I think you covered it. Except for where's mine?
Where's your money? Patience, grasshopper.
Turn 50, Matthew. Yeah,
Patience. Just patience. It's coming.
Speaking of patience, guys, we'll see. About 2 to 3 weeks from now, y'all may get what you want. You actually may get the Matthew Perry show that you've been waiting all this time for. You got a little bit of a glimpse tonight, so hang in there. You know, I think he's about ready. Hope so. Anyway, I can't wait to sit back and watch that. But no, we've covered a lot of topics tonight. I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, we've kind of hit on a lot of different things. I mean, we had 2 weeks of stuff to do. I mean, I just checked the weather a minute ago thinking, oh man, I see what next Thursday, Friday looks like.
Rain.
60 degrees. It's like, are you kidding me? We're going into the 3rd week.
Almost getting ready for summer.
We're going into the 3rd week of May, and it's going to be as cold as it was in March. You know.
Surprise me if it don't snow.
There's that word, Deborah Stacy. So.
What word? Patience.
Patience, grasshopper.
Now, Deborah don't have a whole lot of patience, guys.
Well, you know, she's
been waiting on that payout for a while now. She almost got it in the middle of the night here a month or so ago.
And you can understand why people would be impatient. Why? Because we sat back for 4 years and saw a lot of things take place that probably shouldn't have. And now those problems are trying to be corrected, and you're facing opposition within the American government for a president who's trying to help the American people. And we're sitting here going, why should there be opposition? There wasn't opposition when Biden initiated policies that were bad for America, that basically took us from energy independent to dependent on other countries for our energy sources. It's crazy. You know, you're just, it's almost like the last 4 years, the government was in place and it acted as a body that undermined the American way of life. And now you got somebody fighting for you, and it's like, hell with him. We're not going to try to help him.
We'd rather have the old guy that, was destroying us than we would have to worry about anything else. You know, you got to remember, guys. I mean, I remember on day 1, well, actually it would be day 2 of Biden's presidency. He's sworn in. He started signing his little orders, and the very next day, gas went up 30 cents. We was at like $1.89 at one point, wasn't we, or somewhere
Yeah.
out there? And then gas started climbing. The next thing you know, gas hit $4, $4.50. Again here in Eastern Kentucky, and it's like, good Lord. I mean, how hard is it to see? Now, yeah, right before the election of last year, the gas prices came down a little bit, but I mean, what you say about grasshoppers? So, patience, locusts. Yeah, they're gonna eat the grasshoppers, I think, this year. But miracles just don't happen overnight, guys. I mean,
Well, it's going to take
you
time.
can't just say, hey, Trump's coming in. That's one thing about it. When Biden came in, they signed his orders, everything went up. It's not as easy to bring it back down, just like the
But
price.
it is slowly
You know,
coming back to reasonable
you can
terms.
raise it up at a very quick rate, but it's going to take its time to come back down. Like the egg prices, they come down kind of quick. But I mean, go buy you a pack of hamburger or a steak or something right now. They're still up there. So I mean, it's going to take a little bit, and that's why we got to have America first. We got to be there for farmers, and try to get some money to these guys and gals, and start buying American stuff, and let's get America back to energy independence, where people are buying oil and gases and stuff from us, like it was.
There's not a reason why America can't manufacture anything and everything.
That's right.
People talk about we've been hard on China. I'm surprised we don't have people coming out and putting Chinese flags on their porches.
But it won't be long.
But what I'm going to tell you is, we don't need China, but China needs us. They're heavily dependent on us for a lot of things, and they don't allow us to have exclusive, open entity to their markets. If they did, our country would be a lot more prosperous, a lot more.
Well, look at it. I mean, something you might buy in America may cost you a little bit, but if you use Temu or some of those apps where you can buy like a cell phone for $3, or something like that. I mean, that's the difference in China. They'll make something for little to nothing, and in America, it may cost a little bit more, but it's made here.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have something made in America than I would, some kind of cheap thing.
American jobs. You have Americans producing that. You have good paying jobs. The economy's thriving. If people have money in their pockets, they're more inclined to do what?
Spend
it. The economy thrives.
That's right.
It's called capitalism. You have to have money to make money, and you spend it.
Well, not everybody's rich like Deborah is.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Winning those big lotteries and stuff. Why couldn't she be the Powerball winner?
I understand.
Speaking of the Powerball winner, had a guy in Georgetown win the Powerball. He goes to Florida and gets in a fight with a cop and gets put in jail. So it's like, I don't know, that didn't look too good on us, but. And then we had a lady, where was that? She scratched off a $5 million scratch off the other day in Kentucky. So Kentucky's got some winners in it right now in the lottery, but
it ain't us.
No, it ain't us. If it was us, we'd be sitting right now on a beach somewhere, going live. We'll not be sitting here freezing to death in the pouring rain as always. We might get to go outside eventually. I doubt it. Might have to go sit in a barn just to say we're outside a little bit. But anyway, guys, it's been interesting. Glad everybody tuned in and watched tonight. I just seen an alert come up that there's some tornado warnings, I guess, coming into the viewing area. So everybody stay safe tonight. Stay weather aware. You've already heard my weather alarm go off a minute ago. So we had a severe thunderstorm in northern Morgan there a little bit ago going toward Elliott County. So there's at least another line of storms coming. So keep your eye on the sky and, stay safe with that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you get into anything, stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Call Matthew 3 o'clock in the morning.
Call me.
But, and, and, everybody stay safe. Take care of each other. And, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and have a good night.